Hey there, lovely listeners. My name is David Green, and I'm your host here at Gospel Link. Today, I want to encourage you to gather around your digital fireside as we share some exciting updates in this fast-paced online world. Here at Gospel Link, we're all about connecting. I'm thrilled to announce that Gospel Link has made its mark on Facebook and Twitter. For those of you who love browsing Facebook's curated content or the lively buzz of Twitter, we're right there with you. And if you're catching us on Spotify, there are direct links to our profiles, making it a breeze to hop over and join our online family. Connections shape our digital era. Our online community feels like an extension of the tribe, and we built here. And we can't wait to see both familiar and new names popping up. Whether you're commenting, sharing, or simply sending a friendly hello, you're adding color to our vibrant community canvas. To sum it up, right? Join us on Facebook and Twitter. Let's keep the conversation going, share some stories, and create some ever-growing web of connections. And now, shifting gears from my little promotional pitch to the divine. Here, I want to share 3 tales with you from the Bible that made me smile this week. So, the first one I call the talking donkey. Now, here's how it goes, right? Balaam, known for his prowess, right? He was sought after King Balak of Moab. Balak, alarmed by the Israelites, wanted Balaam to curse them. We see this in Numbers 22:6. Here it says, "Come now, curse these people for me, since they are too mighty for me. Perhaps I shall be able to defeat them and drive them from the land. For I know that he whom you bless is blessed, and him who you curse is cursed." Now, despite God's initial directive in Numbers 22:12, "You shall not go with them, you shall not curse the people, for they are blessed," Balaam really felt compelled to reconsider when Balak persisted. Eventually, God told him in Numbers 22:20, "If the men have come to call you, rise, go with them, but only do what I tell you." As Balaam journeyed, right, an unexpected drama began to unfold. As Numbers 22:23 states, "This donkey saw the angel of the Lord standing in the road with a drawn sword in his hand. She turned off the road into a field. Balaam beat her to get her back on the road. Completely unaware of the angel, Balaam became frustrated with the donkey's behavior. He's hitting this donkey that won't move, that is standing in the road, and failing to heed to his instructions. But here is where the divine twist of intervention is described in Numbers 22:28. "Then the Lord opened the donkey's mouth." This donkey talked to Balaam. Here's what it said: "What have I done to make you beat me these 3 times?" This moment not only opened Balaam's eyes to the angel's presence, as known in Numbers 22:31. "Then the Lord opened Balaam's eyes, and he saw the angel of the Lord standing in the roadway with a drawn sword in his hand. Balaam bowed his head and fell face down." But also, this highlights the way God uses humor to lighten the mood, right? To apply brevity. It made me smile because it's not very often that a donkey turns to you and be like, "Hey, what the heck are you doing? Look, there's a mighty angel standing before us." Sometimes nature sees it before we do, unfortunately, as us humans stuck in our own ways. What I think this does, right? The episode underscores the ideal that at times, even animals can perceive divine truths more readily than humans. It serves as a reminder for us to be receptive to God's messages, which might arrive from the most unexpected quarters. So, I guess be watchful. If you're messing up, your dog might turn to you and speak and say, "What are you doing?" Because it's empowered by the Lord. Next, we're going to turn to Jonah and the whale. Jonah, a prophet of God, received a divine directive and described in Jonah 1:2, "Go to the great city of Nineveh and preach against it, because its wickedness has come up before me." Instead of heeding this call, Jonah tried to flee. He boarded a ship to Tarshish, thinking he could escape from the Lord's presence. But out at sea, a violent storm threatened to break the ship apart. In this desperation, the sailors prayed and threw their cargo overboard. Jonah 1:5 details, "All the sailors were afraid, and each cried out to his own God, and they threw the cargo into the sea to lighten the ship." But Jonah had gone below deck, where he lay down and fell asleep into a deep sleep. When the lot pointed to John as the cause of their troubles, he admitted his attempt to run from God. Upon Jonah's advice, described in Jonah 1:12, he goes, "Pick me up and throw me into the sea," he said, "and it will become calm. I know that it is my fault that the great storm has come upon you." The sailors reluctantly did as he advised. They tossed him into the churning waters. The seas calmed, invoking an awe and reverence for the sailors and for God. then an unexpected twist. Jonah 1:17 tells us, "Now the Lord provided a huge fish to swallow Jonah. And Jonah was in the belly of the fish for 3 days and 3 nights." Within the belly of the fish, Jonah found time for introspection. He prayed as he captured in Jonah 2:2. "In my distress I called to the Lord, and he answered me. From the deep realm of the dead I called for help, and you listened to my cry." Jonah, recognizing his predicament and the irony of his situation, he repented, and the fish, acting as God's command, released him onto dry land. The incredible sequence of events, filled with irony and unexpected twist, underscores the limitless reach of God's mercy and the futility of trying to flee from his will. Because men will throw you into the sea and a whale will eat you. Could you imagine being stuck inside a whale for 3 days? Maybe even be digested. I guess there's plenty of time for introspection and coming to repentance, as most people don't think they're going to escape there. Lastly, we're going to go to the not-so-burnt offering. This one, Elijah, the zealous prophet of the Lord, found himself in a rather unique showdown on Mount Carmel. King Ahab, under the influence of his notorious wife Jezebel, had turned the Israelites towards worshiping the Canaanite deity Balaam. In a challenge to prove whose God was real, Elijah faced off against 450 prophets of Balaam. The challenge was simple. Both sides would prepare a bowl for sacrifice, but they would not set it on fire. Instead, they would call on the respective deities to send down fire from heaven to consume the offerings. Now, the prophets of Balaam went first. As 1 Kings 18:26 recounts, they took the bull that was given them, and they prepared it and called it upon the name of Balaam from morning until noon, saying, "O Balaam, answer us." But there was no voice, and no one answered. Hours went by, with the prophets of Balaam becoming increasingly frantic, even cutting themselves to invoke Balaam's response. But still, nobody responded, because Balaam is not a real God, and he will not come to save them. Now here comes the humorous part, right? Elijah, witnessing their fruitless endeavors, couldn't help but taunt them. In 1 Kings 18:27, he says this, "Cry aloud, for he is a god. Either he is musing, or he is relieving himself, or he is on a journey, or perhaps he's asleep and must be awakened." Elijah's cheeky suggestions implied that Balaam was just too busy, gone on a trip, taking a nap, maybe even using the bathroom. But whatever it is, Balaam is not coming to help them. Now, the story reaches its climax after drenching his altar with water. Elijah calls upon the Lord as described in 1 Kings 18:38. Then the fire of the Lord fell and consumed the burnt offerings, and the wood, and the stones, and the dust, and licked up the water that was in the trench. The stark contrast between the two demonstrations, the desperate antics of the Balaam prophets, and the straightforward, powerful response from the Lord, brings a mix of humor and awe. The lesson here: God doesn't need theatrics, and sometimes he has a sense of humor in demonstrating his supreme power. Great story. I could just imagine him standing there and being like, "You want to try something else? Oh, you're going to cut yourself. Okay. Yeah, your Lord is not going to answer you, but hold up. Call the name of the Lord," and he did as he promised. All right, guys, thank you for tuning in today. Join us later this week as we explore Revelation 13, a captivating chapter that induces two ominous beasts rising from the sea and from the earth. These enigmatic figures, right, wielding great power and authority, challenge the very essence of faith and loyalty. As they usher in a world of signs, wonders, and deceptions, we're left to grapple with profound questions about allegiances, resiliency, and the timeless battle between good and evil. Don't miss this riveting discussion on one of the Bible's most intriguing and prophetic chapters. Until then, keep the faith alive. Don't forget to connect with us on our Gospel and community pages on social media. And I'm wishing everyone a wonderful and blessed week ahead.